Happy New Day, CSA.
Happy New Day, Antipas.
I hope everyone is doing fantastic
Yeah, we are awake
and
and ready.
ready. We are taught here over and over again that the mind is our communication channel with God, our larger self. When the mind is out of tune or not in tune with God, we experience chaos and a sense of separate existence from God. Tuning the mind to the frequency of God, our essence, gives us inner peace. We are led intuitively, that is, we are taught from within. We can harness and use our mind for our good and for the good of our world through tuning in to God and opening ourselves to infinite wisdom. Only then are we in harmony with life, because we now see things or recognize them as they truly are. Today's lesson sermon is titled, Your Mind is Like a Garden. Dress it and keep it. That means cultivate the mind and guard it. And I'll take a reading from Matthew chapter 13, verse 3 to 8. And it reads, And he spoke many things to them in parables, saying, Behold, the sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seeds fell beside the roadside, and birds came and ate them up. Others fell on the rocky places where they did not have much soil, and immediately they sprang up because they had no depth of soil. But when the sun had risen, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. Others fell among thorns, and the thorns came up and choked them out. And others fell on good soil and yielded a crop, some 100-fold, some 60, and some 30. Jesus went on to explain this parable to his disciples in Matthew chapter 13, verse 18 to 23. But I want to link this to the mind as a garden. And here's my take on the parable. There are 4 types of gardens: the roadside garden, the rocky garden, the thorny garden, and the fertile garden. In the roadside garden, we tend to give excuses for or justify our life's circumstances. We blame others and circumstances for our woes. We are victims of circumstances. In this garden, when we are taught how to live a balanced and fulfilled life, we do not take responsibility for our well-being. We rather see ourselves as unworthy of God's grace. I remember I had a friend who would always come to me panicking because she's in one trouble or another. And I was telling her, you need to do the work in order to be able to calm down when, you face challenges. And she said, no, that's too much work for me. That is for the pastor to do. Let me just be where I am. You hear people say, as for me, my family is cursed. There are witches in my home, and therefore I cannot succeed. I hear what you are saying, but my problem is really big. We therefore give power to people and circumstances outside of ourselves. That is how we get trampled on by people and circumstances. Because we situated our garden on the roadside, anyone or circumstance can enter and step all over it. We allow people and circumstances to rule our minds, and we feed our minds with the worst case scenarios and ignore our divinity. The next garden is the rocky garden. We often come here and hear great sermons, and we are fired up to be our best selves. We resolve to take our spiritual practices seriously. But because we are not deeply rooted in them, as soon as we face challenges, we give up and go back to our old ways of thinking and acting. Then we lose our focus and nothing seems to work for us. This is because we lack the discipline to keep up with our spiritual practices. We make up our minds to start meditating regularly, or start exercising, or saying our affirmations, but we allow our old habits to take over. The third garden is the thorny one. In the thorny garden, we are engrossed with chasing material wealth or making it in life at the expense of our spiritual well-being. The material wealth that we acquire sometimes makes us blind to the impermanence of things in the outer world. We are so attached to the outer world that we feel we are our body or our mind. Whilst things are going well, we feel invincible, forgetting that God is our source and the source of everything we have, and that we are co-creators with Him. When the challenges come, we tend to rely on our own human strength, and we struggle to cope. That sense of separate existence from God becomes the thorn in our lives, and we cannot thrive on that. The fourth and last garden is the fertile one and the well-tended one. In this garden, we live and move and have our being in God. We are deeply rooted in God. We know that God is the source of our supply. We know that our needs are being met on time and in good order. We tend the garden regularly. We remove the weeds and water it. We are focused on our oneness with God, and we work towards aligning with His will. Our thoughts and actions are God-centered. We live in the awareness that we are life-giving spirits made in the image and likeness of God. Therefore, the fruits we bear are of God. In the fertile garden, When challenges come, we do not fret or panic. We see them as passing clouds, and we trust that God will bring the people and circumstances together to restore us to wholeness. We do our part and leave the rest to God. It is obvious that this fertile and well-tended garden is where we all should strive to be. So here are 4 ways in which we can achieve that. 1, we need to maintain an attitude of gratitude. 2, practice self-discipline. 3, cultivate the proper study of the nature of God. And 4, surrender to God. I once heard from an expert that one sure way of getting out of depression is through gratitude. When we are down to ground zero and we feel helpless and nothing seems to work for us, he says we need to be grateful for what we have. Gratitude helps us to focus on the things that we have and takes our attention from the things that we lack and the pain that is associated with it. Maintaining an attitude of gratitude brings us joy and redirects our focus to the goodness in our lives. It also gives us a positive outlook on life. Every day, we focus on the best case scenarios. We acknowledge God's presence in our lives. Then, we need to find at least 3 things to be grateful for. Start with small things, like waking up, being thankful for waking up, the chirping of the birds, the food we eat, the nice sky or the weather, our breath, or the loving people in our lives. The second way to be in the fertile garden is to cultivate self-discipline. Make a commitment to do the things you know you should do, even if you don't feel like it. Be intentional about living a balanced and fulfilled life by making small, consistent efforts. I repeat, be intentional about living a balanced and fulfilled life by making small, consistent efforts. Start where you are and be consistent. Be patient and compassionate with yourself when you fall short, and have the intention to be the master of your life. The thoughts and habits you engage in will create your future. Therefore, choose wisely. This is kind of like the inspiration that Reverend just read. Choose to focus on uplifting thoughts. Make up your mind to meditate regularly. Move your body. Feed your body with nourishing food and a healthy diet. Be sure you rest your body and cultivate healthy relationships with others. The third way is to engage in the proper study of the nature of God. Again, this calls for being focused and being intentional. By studying the nature of God, we are able to align with His will. We will no longer struggle. We will go through life with understanding. We will do things from a place of inner knowing, our intuition. That is inner teaching. Therefore, commit to reading scripture or inspirational books. Listen to inspirational talks. Fellowship with like-minded people who uplift you. Meditate deeply and seek guidance from your guru or your spiritual guide. Now, the fourth way is to surrender to God. Instead of resigning or giving up to the sense of separate existence from God and being the victim of circumstances, start cultivating trust in God, in God's benevolent power to put order in your life. Trust that all things are working together for your good, even if you can't see it. Know that all power belongs to God, and resist the temptation of assigning or giving that power to others and circumstances. In conclusion, our mind is the soil of our soul, that is our garden. Therefore, as we think, so are we. Let us dress it and keep it by cultivating a healthy thought life and then guarding our minds through an attitude of gratitude, self-discipline, proper study of the nature of God, and above all, surrendering to God's will. Let us also remember to set the intention to be in tune with God and make small, consistent efforts at eliminating things that don't serve our purpose, and patiently and compassionately work towards dressing our garden, that is, cultivating our mind and guarding it or keeping it. Namaste.